The next chapter we talked about, we entitled Love One Another.
Our editor loved that title.
Yeah, no they didn't. The editor felt like it was too old.
Yeah, it was like, tell me
Yeah.
something new.
Yeah, but
that really is a radical thing.
it really is.
It would transform the world.
Yes, it really would, and which is why we kept it that way. But one of the things I loved about this particular chapter was the story that you told from your experience when you heard about Daniel and how he loved King Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, our church was in a sermon series at that point where we were studying the book of Daniel, and one of the things that I learned in that series was how Daniel loved that difficult human being, Nebuchadnezzar, and remained in relationship with him despite imperfections. And that tells me a lot about how we need to love one another in the church.
Right. Yeah, it was a loving with your eyes wide open. Daniel recognized the faults in King Nebuchadnezzar, but yet loved him despite that.
And he had an influence in Nebuchadnezzar's life that he would not have had if he had not opened himself up to the possibility of loving a very difficult person.
Jesus also did this with his own disciples. He knew their shortcomings and their faults, and yet he chose to love them and find ways to empower them to do the work that he called them to do.
He did.
Yeah.
He never fired any of them.
Never. I bet he came close a few times.
No, I really do believe that it is often it's so obvious that perhaps the editor thought, like, come on, tell me something else. But I do believe it's often the missing piece in many would-be church transformations is that we don't go into the process realizing people are not all going to be in the same place as we move through these various questions that will come up, and we're going to disagree, and it sometimes get tense, and we have to go in ready to love people.
Right, right. And you know, I don't think in any of the interviews we've done or any of the work you've done with Readiness 360 you've ever seen a church succeed in changing its culture without love being the operative emotion or the operative thing that gets the job done.
Indeed.
It has to be there in order for these things to succeed.
Indeed. In fact, I remember years ago, my dad was a pastor, so I'm a PK, and I remember that there was a certain thing he would do in Sunday night services when he would preach occasionally, that when a church was beginning to get into a little bit of tension or conflict, he called it a love-in. Of course, this was the 70s.
Okay.
Right? But he asked people to get up and to move around the sanctuary and to go to somebody and to tell them how much you appreciate it. And in the wake of that experience, it all became so much easier for us to keep on the hard path of being a relevant church.